Welcome to Page Turners. Today we're discussing the opening of a memoir that is it's both heartbreaking and incredibly insightful. Tell Me I'm Not Invisible by Bruce Wheelton. And that title, Alex, it just sets the stage so perfectly. It's not about being shy,
Right.
It's this deep, fundamental fear of being completely unseen by the world.
It's such a powerful plea, and the author, who is now a therapist, he immediately begins to unpack the origins of that feeling. Chapter 1, The Birth of Shame, it contains a scene that I think will stick with every single reader.
You're talking about the swimming lesson. He's just a little kid, 4 or 5 years old?
Yeah.
And he panics in the water. He throws his arms around his young instructor, and she holds him steady.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes that in that moment, just feeling her arms around him, he was safe.
But here's the gut punch. He immediately follows that by saying he knew, even at that age, that he wasn't supposed to have that feeling.
Wow.
He wasn't supposed to be held or protected. And he writes, that is the birth of shame. A moment of safety, of basic human comfort felt so foreign that it created shame.
It's such a profound look at how trauma it rewires you. His home life, which he calls the house of unspoken rules and child abuse, was a place of emotional deprivation and unpredictable violence.
Right.
There was no comfort there. So when he finally experiences it, his whole system just flags it as an error.
Exactly. And that's a classic pathway to disorganized attachment. When the place you should be able to run to for safety is also the source of your fear, it just creates this deep confusion in a child's nervous system.
What I also found so compelling was the author's note to the reader before the story even begins.
Yes.
He says he has to break the writer's rule of show, don't tell, because dissociation and therapy have processed, or as he says, metabolized, the vivid details of his abuse.
It's an act of incredible vulnerability. He's essentially saying, the story might feel sparse in places.
Yeah.
But that's not a failure of craft. It's a consequence of survival. It gives his account this just unshakable authenticity.
And that survival mechanism, dissociation, it's all over Chapter 2, becoming a ghost in my own story.
Right.
This is where he truly becomes invisible. At school, he's silent for years, a condition he later identifies as selective mutism.
And we see that dissociation in action so clearly in the soccer field story. I mean, he gets hit in the face with the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And when his friends ask if he's okay, he just says, matter-of-factly, that after being punched in the face so many times by his mother, you get used to it. He's completely disconnected from his own physical pain.
And he doesn't understand their shocked silence. That disconnect is also why he says he didn't feel the typical signs of social anxiety, the sweaty palms, the racing heart. For him, it was an absence.
A void.
A void where connection should have been. It was just numbness.
But what's so interesting is that he isn't a total ghost.
No.
He's out there playing sports, delivering newspapers, even working a job that requires him to interact with strangers.
So the core of him, that desire to connect and be in the world, it's clearly still there, fighting to get out. It seems he could function in those structured environments.
Right.
He did, but the unstructured social world of high school was impossible. Which brings us to what might be the most brilliant analogy in the book, his relationship with the movie Carrie.
It's incredible. He explains that for him, Carrie wasn't a horror film.
No.
It was the story of an abused, invisible girl who was finally truly seen, and he would watch it over and over.
Right.
But he'd always stop the tape right before the infamous prom scene.
Because the story he needed was that part where Tommy looks past her strangeness and just chooses her.
Yes.
He says he desperately wanted that, for someone to see him, to make the first move, because he felt so fundamentally unworthy that he couldn't do it himself. He longed to be held on a dance floor. And the thought was just a mix of intense desire and pure terror.
It's a perfect illustration of his paralysis, and it's crucial to understand, as the author points out, that these chapters are the foundation of his trauma. The solution, which he calls earned secure attachment, it doesn't come in college.
No.
It comes much, much later. And this part of the story is titled When Love Was Still Unimaginable for a reason.
He couldn't even dream of it
Right.
because he'd never known the kind of joy that, opens the heart to possibility. It's a heavy but essential beginning to a story that promises a path towards healing. It's about being real.
Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. The author describes his invisibility as being a silent ghost in a room full of people.
Mm-hmm.
In what other, perhaps more subtle ways, do we see people become invisible in their own lives? And what does it take for us to truly see them?